right, from Walmart to state and county government, new front lines are forming in the war against opioid abuse. Now the city of Los Angeles has joined that fight.
We all know that opioids have destroyed countless families, lives, neighborhoods, entire communities throughout the United States. That's why we're here today, suing. We're standing with jurisdictions across the United States. We're seeking to put an end to deceptive marketing and misleading advertising.
Joining us with more details is Harry Nelson, the managing partner of Nelson Hardiman, a law firm representing healthcare providers. He's also chairman of the Behavioral Health Association of Providers and co-author of the book, From Obamacare to Trump Care, Why You Should Care. Good morning.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to be with you guys again. Thanks for having me back.
So what companies are named in this lawsuit, and what is the complaint?
So there were 9 companies named. 6 pharmaceuticals were named. The biggest is Purdue Pharma, which is the manufacturer of oxycodone. Some of the other companies are less well-known names like Endo, Cephalon, Mallinckrodt. Each of them is a company that makes, there are 6 of these companies that make different kinds of opioid painkillers. And then there were also 3 major distributors, Cardinal Health, AmerisourceBergen, and McKesson. Those are the companies that don't make the drugs, but basically distribute them into our health system and get them into the hands of doctors.
So the allegation is that Big Pharma violated the RICO Act, which I think most people, might associate with organized crime. They go after the mobsters with the RICO Act. Why are they using that?
Yeah, it's a good question, Frank. So what's fascinating is the RICO statute, racketeering, influence, corrupt organizations, has been with us for over 30 years. It's the law that was really designed to take on organized criminal organizations, the mafia, and so the way it's being used in this case is to allege and actually to document that Big Pharma engaged in a conspiracy to defraud the health system and to defraud doctors. For example, one of the big allegations is that Purdue and these other companies were putting out literature to, when doctors would complain that it looked like patients were showing signs of dependency and addiction, they would say, no, that's just more of the pain, give the patients more. Wow. They actually invested in a campaign to create this idea that there was a phobia among doctors to treat pain in order to kind of create another side and keep doctors prescribing. So it's a pretty disturbing pattern of conduct, and it didn't just happen with one company or one person. This was multiple companies across the industry in a coordinated effort that was very effective and very damaging.
How does this legal battle compare to the fight against big tobacco more than 20 years ago?
So it's a great question, Jessica. It's really a parallel. What we're seeing is that this is a problem that's affected millions of people, hundreds of cities, counties, the whole country really is bearing the cost. The health system, both dealing with the overdose deaths, which has been a tragedy, and dealing with the addiction, the crisis, that sort of goes down the line as people are dealing with this.
Right.
So, the point of this litigation is to put everything together so that we don't have a situation where one city or one state gets a multi-billion-dollar settlement and there isn't enough left for everybody else. The risk that happened with, for example, the asbestos cases, which were even before big tobacco, was that companies actually went out of business. So we had people who had cancer, who got cancer from asbestos exposure, but the companies that created the problem were out of business. There was no more money in the system. So big tobacco was a great example of a case where by getting everybody into one big proceeding, we were able to reach a global multi-billion-dollar settlement to take care of the needs. And it's never enough. The reality is that the harm borne by families, by cities across the country is not going to be, we're not going to take care of everybody, but we're at least going to make sure that the money is distributed equally.
So what's next in terms of the LA lawsuit, and then how does it work with the state and all these other lawsuits? Yeah,
so there have been about 600 lawsuits have been filed in total. So LA was just the latest. There were also 30 California counties statewide that filed a lawsuit of their own last week. So these suits are all being consolidated in Cleveland before a judge, Dan Polster. I happen to know the judge just by a random connection, but he's overseeing what's called a multi-district litigation. So that case is going to be going on. It's really a long-term pretrial case, putting the facts together, seeing where the harm is, and then you have a lot of players, including the state of California, that haven't joined the fight yet. They're essentially negotiating directly with the pharmaceutical companies, and so it's going to probably be a year plus before we actually see the outlines of a settlement. But the point is to get everybody together and then figure out who really bore the harm. And one of the big interesting questions is that Los Angeles, a lot of people say Los Angeles isn't the worst, isn't the hot zone, right? We don't think of California. The headlines have been Kentucky, West Virginia,
right.
and that's because the overdose deaths have been worst at a state level. Here in California, some of the worst overdose death rates are up north in counties like Humboldt, Lake County. But Los Angeles, cities like Los Angeles have had an enormous amount of bearing the brunt of taking care of people dealing with addiction, and so it's about spreading the cost out across all of the harm.
Harry, thank you for being here once again. The book is titled From Obamacare to Trump Care. Harry Nelson is a partner at Nelson Hardiman, a law firm for healthcare providers. For more information, you can check out the website TrumpHealthcareBook.com. Thanks again to Harry Nelson for being with us.
Thanks. Great pleasure to be with you guys. Thanks.